In 827, Aethelwalds, the Queen of Mercia, commonly known as Aelfa the Wise, was 51 years of age. Her reign had been a glorious time for Mercian hegemony, but the later years proved to be the most challenging and politically unstable. Aelfa's fervent expansion of the Mercian realms was beneficial for the state, but also left a great deal of camps weakened. Binding truces meant that Aelfa could not intervene, and the other states of mainland Britain were able to consolidate their own power over the weakened enemies of Mercia. Trouble brewed across the Irish Sea. The once shattered and barbaric tribesmen had been engaged in centuries of war with one another, but by 827 the Irish Duke of Mercia was poised to unite the tribes under one great Irish banner. The Mercian nobility grew paranoid and defensive. Foreign states were forming around them. Though none of these foreign states dared to contend with the armies of Mercia, it was unquestionable that seeds of rivalry were being laid as the British Isles recovered from the bloodthirsty Mercian conquests of Aelfa's youth. Queen Aelfa was content to let the foreigners war among themselves. She was more concerned with domestic matters, wrangling nobles and attending to the economy. At the age of 52, Aelfa took a voyage to Africa. She visited a Muslim Shah, going there to negotiate lucrative trade deals and observe the Islamic administration. Her absence in Leicester was seen as an indecisiveness by the nobility, and some openly went to war against those smaller counts Aelfa had previously assured peace. If it were not for her sons, Aelfa might have struggled upon return to Mercia. Though her eldest son, Prince Joshua, was heir, her younger sons proved more than capable administration. Prince Leo was an accomplished diplomat, arranging his own marriage to the Princess of Pitland, modern-day Scotland, and sealing an alliance that would last into the next generation. As a reward for his ingenuity, Aelfa appointed him as her Chancellor and Regent, and he ruled jointly with his brother Aethelwald whilst Aelfa was still engaged in Africa. Prince Aethelwald had always expressed interest in technology and innovation. He had begged Aelfa to go to Africa with her. She refused. She stated that he should tend to his own flock before he looked to another. Aethelwald, ever humble, did as she commanded, and by the time Aelfa's return had instituted a number of mining reforms in Wales. Aelfa rewarded him by engaging him to the bastard daughter of the Byzantine Basilisa. Together, Leo, Aethelwald and Joshua, with help from their father Aethelstan, now the Duke of Gwynedd, maintained relative peace and stability in Mercia during Aelfa's absence. Some have remarked that Aelfa was happiest in Africa amongst the Muslims. One of her junior servants, who later became a scribe, wrote that the wise queen rejoiced in every difference between the nations. She saw beauty in heresy, and the stresses of ruling had been lifted from the first time in over 4 decades. Indeed, her return in 832, after 3 years abroad, marked a decline in the queen. Merely 2 months after her return, the Duke of Mercia declared war on Mercia, claiming that the once Celtic lands of Wales should belong to the only remaining Celts, the Irish. It is evident that Mercia was no match for Mercia. Aelfa had over 3 times as many light infantry, as well as double the archers, and 400 heavily armoured Mercian cavalry. Further, Prince Aethelstan had employed a personal royal levy of over 2,000 troops. The princes were not content in the presumed national victory. Prince Joshua pleaded with Aelfa to allow him to go to Ireland, likely as he would soon be king, and the nobles were known openly to mock his humorless and stiff sobriety. Aelfa consented, and by the start of autumn, Joshua's head was returned in a box, defeated in a meaningless skirmish on the Irish coast. Prince Joshua's own son, also Joshua, was now heir, at age 4. Though Mercia prevailed in the war with Mercia, Joshua's death marked a political and personal change for Queen Aelfa. Politically, matters of inheritance became a tangled web. Aelfa had granted her husband Aethelstan the Duchy of Gwynedd as a reward some decade earlier. Until his death, Prince Joshua was heir to his title as well as the kingdom. However, Welsh law dictated that younger sons take priority over grandsons, and so Prince Leo became the heir to the sizable Welsh duchy. Personally, the death of Joshua drove Aelfa into a frenzied hatred of Ireland. In the battle that killed Joshua, Mercian troops had imprisoned the Duke of Mercia's son. He was exported back to Leicester and treated well as a political prisoner up until Joshua's death. Upon his death, Aelfa met the Duke of Mercia to arrange terms of his surrender, Promising that the heir would come to no harm, the Duke of Mercia signed the treaty upon a great war chest in the royal tent of the Mercian army. When he had finished signing, Aelfa simply stood up, opened the war chest, and at the age of 55 lifted the corpse of a fully grown man from within. "A son for a son," Aelfa is said to have whispered. At first, Mercia was too weak to retaliate, but over the next decade of Aelfa's rule, the two nations clashed repeatedly in several skirmishes. It was a common joke that the two nations would join any war just to go against each other, and Aelfa became overwrought in her pursuit of humiliating and brutalising the Duchy of Mercia. She left her sons to hold court, and was rarely seen at her council except for in matters of combat. The Queen's next public appearance came at a most tragic event in 840. King Aethelstan died. At his funeral, she was said to be drawn, skinny and ragged, all the beauty and grace from her former years having darkened. The wise queen only watched somberly over the funeral proceedings. Aelfa's consuming hatred of Ireland meant that she did not lift a finger to aid the political landscape of Mercia. Upon Aethelstan's death, Prince Leo became the Duke of Gwynedd, an immediate pretender and future threat to his nephew, the Mercian heir, Joshua. Prince Aethelwald also inherited parts of his father's domain, though the man was less politically inclined than his older brother. In the summer of 850 AD, the wise queen was taken to bed complaining of weakened and painful legs. Physicians attributed her condition to advanced age and stress, and day by day the queen grew more weary and bedridden. She frequently asked to see Joshua, and when he came, she simply looked at him with sadness in her eyes. By winter, she languished all day in bed for over 2 weeks. It was on the last day of November that Aelfa, the wise queen of Mercia, passed away, halfway through summoning Joshua to her once again.